Job.
No, I was not born here. I was born in Jefferson, Texas. And my parents moved here in 1944
Yes, ma'am.
when I was 4 years old.
Yes, ma'am.
And I am the third child of 8 children.
Okay.
They segregated in 1965. And we didn't really want to. I mean, it was just something that we didn't get used to doing, and we didn't want to do it. But when they did it, it was okay. Back in those days, we didn't want to go to school with the white people. It was work, get out on your own, support yourself. You don't take anything that don't belong to you. We were raised by the golden rule. Do unto others as you have them do unto you. My first job, we washed dishes at Halton City Cafe. I mean, we were not even old enough to work, but we could go there and make 50 cents. Make 50 cents to 70. When you got good, you got 75 cents an hour. You know, if you were good and dependable, 75 cents was, and that was my mark. And we washed dishes there. And Sarah's mother was the cook. She was the master chef. And I lived in my mother's house. My sister and I lived together. My baby sister and I lived together. The house that we were raised up in, they refurbished it. The Garden of Eden is the reason why we moved back. My brother was murdered in 1996 there at that house by a known white supremacist. And my mother came home with me that night, and she didn't come back for 11 years. When Brenda came and she started the Garden of Eden Neighborhood Association, and she found Miss Josie was not living in her house, and they saw the need to refurbish the house, and my mother moved back in 2007. 2011, she passed away at 99 in her bed. And he admitted this. And he had gone through and told all of his friends the stuff we had to sit in court and listen to was a horror. He was born August the 2nd, and he had told all of his friends, this year for my birthday, I'm going to kill me a nigger. He shot and killed my brother on the 3rd of August. He didn't know my brother. Junior was 61 years old. He couldn't read or write, but he was so very, very functional. I mean, he took care of us. That we'd go somewhere, he'd take care of the dogs, the cats, the house, and he took care of my mother. Ranger Lee Dragu is the guy that killed my brother. I said, you absolutely wrecked our lives. And 6 months we were in trial. I said, we don't want an eye for an eye, but we want justice. He'll never get out of the penitentiary. He got life without parole. Now, there used to be, well, it's still there, the Greenway Park. Every 19th of June, a carnival would come to town.
Yes, ma'am.
And, I mean, people from Lake Como, everywhere. And then there was Lake Como, the Lake Cata Park. And we'd go out there. They had, when it got on cold days, was hog killing days. And, I mean, the men from the neighborhood would come and we'd kill hogs. And there were the ladies, they would cook the cracklings. And there was one that was doing the liver. It was something for everybody to do, and we shared. We'd go pick up pecans on Thanksgiving Day, and that was to make candy for Christmas and stuff, fudge. We'd have dinner at our church. You know, we were fellowshipping with a different church. They'd come, bring their church family, and they had certain cooks. That was Mama Ned's, Mama Edith's, my mother, and Miss Watkins. These 4 old ladies, you know, everybody did something.
The Rock Island Bottom, 4th Street, you see the Rock Island sign on the bridge as you leave the bottom going downtown.
Yeah.
Flood in 49 wiped us out. Flood in 49. And we hear, not sure, but we hear that what caused the flood was they opened the gates of the Trinity River out of north side. And they thought it was going to go a different direction, but it came straight down 4th Street, all the way down to G.W. Carver School that sits up on the hill in I am Terrell. So the water landed there. My grandparents had family members that lived up on where the bundle housing is now. where Butler House is, well, that was all privately owned by the residents that lived in the neighborhood. The city of Fort Worth, and I don't know whoever the others were, but they would bring food to us in the bottom every evening.
Was Red Cross.
It was Red Cross. And that's where we would get our nourishments from. And then following that for our clothing and wherewiths and whatever, we would, are you familiar with, no you're not. There was a theater downtown called the Ritz Theater, 9th Street, you know where the Greyhound bus station is now?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, that was the Ritz Theater. And we would go there in the evenings to see 3 movies for a dime. When the movies were over, we'd all walk together and come back down into the bottom for home.
Mm-hmm.
Our young folk have no clue of who they are and whose they are. Because that red brick building is still standing there. Coming out of downtown, when you think about the fact that white folks didn't want black folk, they had no clue, none of y'all, because God was in control. And he made happen what he wanted to happen.
Mm-hmm.
You know, who you think you are? So they brought the food down to us on 4th Street every evening. And I cannot attest to this, but I would imagine we had more folk from the city that came and partook of that they provided for us because we were in the flood.
Mm-hmm.
Do you remember the radio station KHVN? We had a neighborhood for which they were a lot more successful, I'll say it that way. And it was called the Shady Edition. As you're continuing on 4th Street going east to go across the Trinity River, that neighborhood was there. It was called the Shady Edition. But they tore it down because visualize coming out of downtown on the Belknap Bridge over to the right, and then Greenway Park was over there to the left. Well, that was where the Masons and the other of the women's groups would come to Fort Worth every year in June. And they bring visitors into this city from all over. I do remember when all of the Masons and the ladies would all come to Fort Worth and they would stay with our families as opposed to having a hotel to go in.
But they have their reservations before they got here. You know, different families that would have signed up for, you know, them to come and live. It tells you all about it in the Green Book.
Right.
You know, like the Walker family, they were going to support 3 people. That's where they went. The Johnsons, 5. That's where they went.
That's where they went.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
And had a beautiful time. It was always successful.
Always.
Always
You
successful.
never had to see police
Yeah,
cars.
we had radio stations.
Yeah.
We had
Yes.
recreation centers.
Yeah.
I've seen B.B. King. I've seen Bobby Blue Bland. I've seen James Brown, Aretha Franklin, Sam Cooke. Oh, they all came to the Masonic Mall.
It certainly did.
We'd let them sign that autograph on your back, on your breast. Yeah, we were groupies too. I'm serious. And then we had the Glass Key. That was an after-hour joint. I mean, it was really, really elegant. That's where B.B. King. They would come there, probably at least 10 blocks.
Okay.
I mean, that was a nightclub.
Yeah.
They had kind of like Billy Bob's. Before Billy Bob's came to town, the Glass Key, they had sections where they just served coffee. They just served food. They had 2 or 3 food stations in that place, and coffee and after our liquor. It was just no shooting. You know.
No, you're right. Now that is a point. Yeah.
Everybody got along. There was just something about them getting along.
No such thing as killing each other. Not at all. Not at all.